A Series of Unfortunate Events Season 2. This is the second season in Netflix's original series that follows the Baudelaire orphans as they continue their adventures against Count Olaf and his schemes to take their fortune. Anyways, in the second season, they start with the austere academy and conclude with Carnivorous Carnival for a series of 10 episodes that covers 5 more books, leaving 4 books remaining. And I imagine the third season after this will sort of wrap things up because they are directly adapting a book series. Now this is a book series I've actually read. I don't read a lot of books. I did have really 2 series when I was, maybe 3 series. I've read Harry Potter, I read Artemis Fowl, and I read A Series of Unfortunate Events. And I absolutely love those 3 series. So to see it come to life in such a beautiful way, I'm making a direct comparison here. I normally don't when they're doing material, but when they're adapting things that I hold so dear, it definitely matters quite a bit to me. And this is amazing. It's quite something to have like this remembrance of the books and having read them, and then seeing every single scene laid out exactly as they are in the books. And I don't think there's any other format other than really Netflix that they could present this, like the series format on Netflix, to present this so beautifully perfect. So we're kind of getting like around 2 episodes a book, basically. They kind of a little bit merge towards the ending, but it's very clear cut, and they do a fantastic job in regards to the pacing and keeping the story elements very, very close to the actual novel version of it. And it's just incredible. You get narration from Lemony Snicket. Warburton is fantastic doing that. It again carries that sense of melancholy, but also a certain level of teaching in the sense that it's kind of describing words and so forth, which has always been a benchmark in the series. Now, it's kind of dark, but it's also fun and really something any audience could enjoy because they are mostly based on, like, younger audience and so forth. And you see that played out. It's just as creepy as you would imagine it to be, and it kind of like Tim Burton-esque, kind of in the darkness of it, but it's got a very stylized look to it that's just gorgeous. I mean, it clearly looks fantasy-like. They're not trying to exactly make something that is realistic in that sense. They're very much trying to create a very distinct looking world, and I think they do an excellent job of just that. If you watch the first season, this one basically continues that in a perfect way. It just goes right off of the events of the last one, and we're kind of joined by the Quagmire triplets, and they immediately have fantastic chemistry with the main orphans. And to see that even better than what I thought in the books. Like, I thought the books was like, okay, they're a group that's with the core cast, whatever. But in this one, it's like you actually get to see the chemistry and the connections, and it makes it a lot better of an experience, I found. And you kind of want the other set of orphans to be more integrated into the story. And yeah, I was very, very surprised by that. The academy is just creepy. So is the hospital, and it's like you get a larger sense of scale in this season. So there's always also the penthouse with the great elevators. You also get just a creepy set of areas as you go to VFD, which is a town where they're based around the crows. And it's like this very distinct, weird, creepy place where, they're like burning at the stake and everything. And because it's trying to be like kind of horror-ish, but not really horror-ish, if that makes sense. It's a very creepy town. They don't necessarily burn anyone at the stake, but you get the sense that this is the kind of town that might do something like that, just based on its old, out of kind of focus. It's in the middle of nowhere and so forth, and I think that's really quite cool. Obviously, a lot of the literary elements come back into play, like I mentioned earlier, and it's just really well acted. The children they have are absolutely perfect. There's the right amount of creepy style to it as the baby, like, cuts things with her teeth, and you've got the ribbon and everything is well done, and then of course you've got the book individual. And it's just like together they're absolutely perfect. And then their antagonist, Neil Patrick Harris as Olaf, is just spot on. He's so magical. He does get a musical number in this one too, which is really quite something. That whole area with the penthouse was just even better than what I had imagined from the books. I didn't think it was the most interesting of this series, really, when I read it. And from what I remember, it's been a long time. And to see it like that, and it's actually really well set up. I was very impressed. It was a very interesting take on it, and the hospital appeared even better than I thought it would be. It really does pull up that like Silent Hill level of like creepiness, but it's not scary. Like none of this is a scary series, but it's very dark in its tone, obviously. But it is also very comedic too, because this, kind of makes fun of certain events, and so it does dance on that fine line very well to kind of make it like, could children watch this? Should they? It works well, and I think it does actually teach quite a bit about the language and some of the fancier terms, and I think that's kind of a value that makes the series even better than what it typically is. So the action's good, the pacing is well done, it looks absolutely beautiful. They did a really good job on this, and yeah, I absolutely loved it. Being a fan of the books, you can sit there and they're teasing little things in the background. The magical sugar bowl comes into play a little bit, and I think they're really leading into a strong sort of finale season, assuming they're going to get all the books done in that amount of time. Well, you could definitely get a sense of a larger scale this season in the sets, and I hope they continue that into the final one, because the hospital is just large, and so is the penthouse and the area around the penthouse, and it continues to have that very interesting style where it's like heroics of the volunteers coming into play, and you get a very, very good Jacuz in this one, Snicket, and I thought they handled that element very well. He was a lot of fun, and yeah, they absolutely nailed it. Even during the whole school scene, the Astaire Academy, seeing the little girl that like kind of antagonizes them as well, kind of works with Olaf to a degree. She was absolutely wonderful and creepy and just so out of everything. Because the whole world is bleak, and then she's dressed in like this very bright set of colors, and the contrast is just excellent. And they continue to play that whole, oh, we can't tell it's Olaf because of the disguises thing, and it's a lot of fun. Yeah, I guess maybe it kind of was getting on me a little bit that they're really repeating that element, but it makes sense because that's just kind of how the story goes, and it's just this guy continuing to get into a bunch of different disguises sets that up, and it's just, he really is a jack of all trades in regards to capturing that role and really getting Olaf just right, which is great. And it totally makes sense, and I'm glad that everyone goes along with it, and that is fun. And yeah, we had a memory card issue, so hopefully the cut is a little natural in this one. Basically, the series in the second season builds upon the first in new and exciting ways. It's a lot of fun to watch, especially if you're a reader of the books. To see it translated over so perfectly is just something else. Very few times do I see adaptations that are so true to their original form. Usually they take so many leniencies on adjusting things, and as a fan, it's absolutely wonderful to see it come alive in the way that it does. I mean, it's just unreal. And if you haven't, read the material, it's still like just an absolutely fantastic watch. It's a great show. I think it's quite creepy, but yet fun and imaginative at the same time, and it's just something that is truly special and well worth watching. It's one of the better Netflix originals, definitely one of my favorites, and I can't wait to see where they're going to take the final season. Obviously, with this being kind of the production style of it, there's a bit of a growth spurt, so you do see that, but I think it's sort of perfect in the sense that it matches the books in that regard, kind of. You get a little bit of an age. It feels natural in the sense of where they're going along. I think they make like an off joke about it, and it fits well. You don't even notice too much of a difference. I guess if you're watching them back to back, you might be like, yeah, but you just look over it. The supporting cast is great here. They've got a lot of sort of big Netflix names. I've noticed that a lot now. Netflix is putting like the same sort of actors in a bunch of different shows of theirs, and it's working very well. I loved some of the surprises, some of the cast. You'll be like, oh, I love them in this other one, and you'll be like, oh, this is a classic actor, and to see them just like pop up, and very well done. And even Olaf's new main assistant, she was absolutely wonderful and absolutely crazy, even more so perhaps than him in villainy, and I think that kind of helped a lot in the season too, because there's a lot more danger going on. You got the whole band of Olaf's crew getting bigger. You've got the battles continuing. They're capturing all the key points. The Quagmire is working with the group is fantastic. I loved it. Maybe over the top, but I give it a 9.5 out of 10, which is even better than what I scored the last season. You can read my full review in the description below that goes into it a bit more. But yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. That's the second season. We'll stream on Netflix, and I just absolutely loved it beyond belief. It's so fun, so much fun for me to watch it. I just continue, just totally gripped upon the TV. I can't stop watching it, and it gets it so perfectly well that it's something special to me. And yeah, it's just magical seeing it come alive like it does.